Welcome everybody to another episode. Today's guest is my friend Ivan Chuk. Ivan has one of the world's strongest hands, and he is today's guest. So I'm very excited to talk to him. Ivan, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So when you told me when we spoke
Mm-hmm.
at the Serbian American Medical Dental
Slava, yeah.
Society, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's Slava. Um, you mentioned, or your sister actually introduced us, and she said that, yeah, you're an athlete, you have one of the world's strongest hands, and when she said that, I was like, whoa, that's it's kind of cool. So, thank you for coming on. And so you want to, what like, what do you have to shows that you have one of the world's strongest hands? Like,
Well,
is there, I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you have like any competitions that you won? What certifies that?
yeah, so for determining hand strength,
Mm-hmm.
you have a couple of ways to do it. Most of the time, people hear about having the strongest grip in the world and they think of a gripper,
Mm-hmm.
something just like this.
Mm-hmm.
And that I started off with, and I got really good at it really fast. So that is for me what determines my hand strength. There's competitions at the Arnold Classic that is hosted every year in March, and I've won third and second place so far, and I might be looking to win first place this year. So,
Okay,
you know,
so when is the competition this year, or
mm,
2024? You mean?
yeah, 2024 March 3rd through 5th.
Okay, so it's coming up,
Yeah.
and that's the Arnold Classic.
Mm-hmm.
So the Arnold Classic, they also have the World's Strongest Man, right? What other competitions do they have?
Yeah, they have tons of competitions like powerlifting, world's strongest man. They got bodybuilding shows,
Mm-hmm.
like typically the best of the best are going there every year. So it's
Okay.
a good test to see out of the lineup who's got the best grip, who's got the strongest,
Yeah.
who's got the best lifts, who got the best physique, all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So,
So they have a bunch of competitions.
mm-hmm.
Well, when I heard of the Arnold Classic, obviously I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think I'm saying it right. But and I think of bodybuilding, right?
Yes.
Now remember watching World's Strongest Man like on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
But was that all part of like Arnold's Classic, or is there other competitions outside of that as well?
There are other competitions and venues hosted. Um, for grip specifically, there's not a lot. So you
Mm-hmm.
got like the Olympia
Mm-hmm.
in Las Vegas, and you got the Arnold in Columbus, Ohio, and that's pretty much the two biggest competitions. And for bodybuilding,
Mm-hmm.
you got the Olympia as well. So those two are kind of the biggest for bodybuilding. For example, World's Strongest Man has several venues. They have
Okay.
Giants Live, which is in the UK, and they have World's Strongest Man, which is usually hosted different places around the world every year. And then they have the Arnold Classic. So it's like three different main competitions that
Mm-hmm.
test who's the strongest guy in the world. So
Mm-hmm. You might have mentioned this already, but does the Olympia and the other one, do they do grip strength as well?
yes,
Okay. You haven't done those yet?
no.
Okay. Is there a reason why, or is there like
Yeah, for to get a spot at that specific place, you had to have done a something called a super series,
mm-hmm.
which was there's a company called Grip Genie, and Grip Genie collaborated with a grip league called Arm Lifting USA, and they collaborated and decided that they're gonna have an online competition where they have multiple people across the world host their own venues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like if you live in Finland, you can get a group of 30, 40 people that compete, but everybody's competing with the same equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and they have to do it under the same rules, and they have to do it in a video, and you know,
When you say the same equipment, like you use this gripper and then I use it right after you, or is it
yeah, yeah.
or is it a new one for everybody?
Yeah, so it would be if a gripper was in such a competition, then yes, it would be the same gripper for everybody, or
Mhm.
it would just be the same collection of grippers used for, other people. Because
Right.
obviously, not everybody's gonna be able to close the same gripper, but the people who are the strongest, they have to be using from the same uh, collection of grippers. Yeah.
Okay. So eventually you plan on trying to get into the other two competitions?
Yes, I've done. The reason I got into the Arnold was because I had done a Super Series when they first started,
Uh-huh.
and I think I got like second or third or something in my weight class for it. So I got invited into uh, my weight class for the what's it called? The Arnold.
Okay. So what year did you get the second? Was that last year or this year,
2023. Yeah. So,
2023?
yeah.
Both second and third, different competitions, or?
Yeah. So I got third place in 2022 at the Arnold,
Okay.
and this year I got second.
All right. So
Yeah.
2024.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, you're climbing the ladder. That's it, man. So what? How does the competition work? What are you guys squeezing at the Arnold Classic?
Um,
Like what are the steps to this
yeah.
competition?
So for Arm Lifting USA, which is the league that is hosting at the Arnold Classic, we do basically powerlifting, but with different shaped bars.
Mhm.
So we're not doing it with a barbell, we're doing it with an axle barbell. And an axle barbell is just a regular barbell, but it doesn't bend, so it's really stiff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's about this thick. So
Okay, it's about
you're
inch and a half, maybe.
typically there's a little bit of space between your thumb and your middle finger when you grip around it.
Uh-huh.
As opposed to a regular barbell, you can just overlap. It doesn't tax your grip as much.
Right.
If you increase the diameter of a bar, it automatically makes it harder to hold on to.
Yeah. So it's not as flexible as a regular bar.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
can't,
thicker.
like when you try to lift it off the ground, you can't bend it first and then get it off. 'Cause
Mhm.
some people do that with a regular bar and it takes the slack out of it.
Mm-hmm.
With an axle bar, if it's 500 pounds on it, it's 500 pounds all the way,
I see.
and if it bends, it's going to stay bent.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things you have to pick up this bar with a certain amount of weight on it. Now,
Yes.
how do you hold the bar? Is it like straight out like
Um,
this?
Double overhand, so like you would be standing and doing a regular deadlift,
Uh-huh.
but your hands are like out in front a little bit because the bar being thicker makes it pushed further away from your body a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, you have an axle bar, but you also have something called a Saxon bar, which is we talked like this, but they also have one where it's pinching.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like a kind of like a holding a can,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's one where you're like holding like plates or
It's like a
books.
rectangle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
There's-
those two.
different bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just those two? Is there like anything that you have to squeeze?
So sometimes they do that, sometimes they do it, but like they never do one where they close this, which
Mhm.
sucks because I would win that event. But they do something similar where they have a little block. It's
Uh-huh.
like maybe half an inch or so, and all you have to do is just close it down there and then hold it. So you don't have
Uh-huh.
to. So you don't have to completely close it like. You don't have to completely close it like this.
Uh-huh.
You just hold it open this way, but there's something there that you have to squeeze against so it doesn't drop. So you
Right.
have to just hold it like this.
Uh-huh. So that's one
That's one of the events.
one
yeah.
of the events.
Yeah.
Okay. Not
It's
a
called
deal.
a silver bullet hold.
Okay.
The thing that you put inside looks like a bullet. So
So what would like you lifting that bar, right, and getting the awards that you did, what is that equal to, like months of How many pounds of pressure do you have in your hand when you squeeze it?
Yeah, so typically people who are first starting out in this will be lifting like around 200 pounds, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on the bar. Like an axle bar, most people could probably do 200 pounds. Like most training people who train in the gym, train deadlift and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
they could do 200 pounds. Completely untrained person, probably not. But
So you're saying 200 pounds, somebody that's just working out at the gym, deadlifting.
yeah, because the world record in the deadlift keeps going up. So right now it's like 1,100 pounds, which
Mm-hmm.
is enormous, right? But they use straps. They use a regular bar that bends. So obviously the conditions are ideal to lift such an amount of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But the world record for an axle is only like 530, 540. It's not that much.
For the bars that you were talking about.
It's only half. So
Wow.
the grip factor of it is too much. And you can get guys who can deadlift 800, 900,000 pounds, and they're like human forklifts. But
Mm-hmm.
then they get up to an axle bar and they can't lift 400 pounds off of it
Mm-hmm.
because their hands are not strong enough. So
Now, would that, let's say if you started deadlifting and trying to, push your weight up, try to beat the world record, right? Now, the fact that you have such strong hands, does that carry over to deadlifting and help you lift more weight?
I would say no.
Okay.
I would say what would carry over the most would be if I had the genetics to build enough muscle to close a really heavy gripper.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably build enough muscle to eventually get up to deadlifting a big weight.
Mm-hmm.
I would not say that I'm built for deadlifting the world record, but I could definitely, if I devoted my time to it,
Mm-hmm.
maybe took a little steroids, I would get to a pretty high number.
Yeah. Is that common in these competitions, even in like the grip strength,
Grip, not so much.
the steroid part?
Yeah, so grip, definitely not as many guys doing steroids because it's not. People say it doesn't help. It helps, but it's not gonna, because the forearm is a smaller muscle group.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is only like 10-15% more than what you would have gone maximally if you were staying natural. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you took steroids for bench pressing, yeah, that number is gonna go way up. Because your pecs, your shoulders, your triceps are much bigger muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, when you take steroids and you increase your recovery time and all this stuff, and you can adapt to more training, then you're gonna build more muscle, and that's gonna result in a bigger bench press, bigger deadlift, bigger squat. So
Okay.
yeah.
That actually, I never thought about steroids and grip strength, but is it common like with the World's Strongest Man competitions?
Oh yeah, I mean,
So they don't really have
in
like
the world's strongest man, everybody's taking it.
so they don't have any what are they called,
Regulations.
regulations.
Well, even if they did, they wouldn't abide by them because they have to make money. You know,
Mhm.
like what's gonna make more money for that venue? If you get a guy
Right.
who's 250 pounds deadlifting 750, or you got like a 6'8", 450 pound,
Yeah.
colossal sized person deadlifting over 1,000 pounds.
Right.
That's gonna make more money. So they're gonna let those guys take whatever they want.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, when everybody's taking the same thing, you can say, yeah, then it's fair because still the best guy emerges.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're competing naturally, your genetics play a big role. So, like, naturally, you could be built way stronger than everyone, but there are some people who can take steroids and respond incredibly well to them, and they can just grow enormously as a
Mhm.
result of it, and become bigger than that guy who's naturally just super strong.
Mm.
So it's not always telling of who's got the best genetics and strength and all this stuff, but that's just how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean some people are lucky and they're born with better genetics than
Mhm.
somebody else. Does that play a big role? Like, well, obviously
In grip, yes.
in grip.
Yeah, because in grip you got several factors. Because as we mentioned, holding a bar that's really thick, if you got really long hands,
Mm.
you got better coverage, and that gives you better leverage. So if it's like this for me, but it's like this for you, then it's gonna be much easier for you.
Right.
You're gonna need less. You need less muscle and less force production from a muscle to just lift that than I do.
What size hands do you have? Like, how do you
Uh,
compare yours to, like, on a scale? I don't know, biggest to smallest.
it's definitely on the bigger side
Okay.
because I don't have super long from the wrist crease to the middle finger,
Mm-hmm.
but I do have pretty long ring and pinky fingers. And I
Mm.
got a wide hand and everything, so it's definitely not small.
Right.
Even on the grip, even in the grip world, but it's not the biggest.
Right. Um, Now, this gripper that you brought in, I know when we first met and we kind of talked, you had mentioned that there's a company that sends you brand new grippers that you have to open up on camera, have everything on camera, and then squeeze it on the camera. You send the video into them and they certify you.
Yes.
Would you be able to kind of get into that? And also, if you don't mind just letting us know, like, how many pounds of pressure is this? Can I squeeze it?
Yeah, this is just 167 and a half. It's the lightest one I got.
Bro, don't say it's the lightest one, man. What if I can't
Okay,
squeeze
it's
it
the
now?
heaviest one I got.
Alright,
Trust
cool.
me.
Cool. Oh, okay.
Pretty good. It's a pretty good attempt. Closer than
Stop
what most
it, bro.
people get
Let
it.
me see my left.
Wow, look at that.
Wait, why is my left heart stronger than my right?
Well, you positioned it better on your left.
Did I?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Is it positioned different now? What's
I could
what's
show
the,
you.
Yeah, show me.
Most
what's the
people,
position.
when I show it to them, they still don't get it. 'Cause
Okay.
It just takes some time to practice to get the muscle memory and everything. But yeah, like generally when you're closing a gripper,
Mm-hmm.
you take this handle and you push it right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna split your ring and your pinky finger, but you want to keep it as forward as possible. So a lot of people, they try to close grippers and they put the handle here.
Mm-hmm.
Now the problem is, just watch how my fingers are halfway closing, and when I try to close, see, I'm running out of position. I can't
Mhm.
close the gripper. I'm strong enough to,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't because my fingers are already done closing. So you want it to kind of start here and close down, as opposed to starting here and then,
more
know.
leverage.
yes,
Okay.
leverage is key. So obviously you want to position this closer to your fingers, but then
Mhm.
this is further away in your fingers,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't grip it right away. So you have to push your thumb forward to keep it from sliding back, and you use your other hand to walk it down to a
Mhm.
preferred width, and then you just close it.
Mm.
You hear
Are those your
cracking?
knuckles?
Yeah,
Yeah, I heard the first time you did it. It was like
yeah, yeah.
even mine cracked a little bit.
Yeah, it's normal because you're just cold.
I'm just
so,
not used to squeezing. 160 pounds, you said?
Yeah, 167 and a half.
All right. Not too bad. Not too bad for
You
me.
could probably close it
Uh-huh.
if you positioned it, in
Correctly.
a mechanically advantaged position. Yeah,
We won't test it now. Maybe off
it
camera.
would take too long.
Yeah, I like that. All right. So what do they go up to?
Well,
What's the strongest one?
they go
Yeah.
up to a number 4. For this company, the hardest they have is called a number 4, and it's 365 pounds of pressure to close.
Okay.
So,
That's a lot of pressure.
yeah.
And have you done that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I've done that one. I haven't certified on it yet, but I've closed several number 4s. Yes.
Like on your own
Mhm.
personal. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, why don't you just get certified if you're doing
Well, because it's the way I'm closing it. So
it?
the way that they require you close it for certification, like
Mhm.
I just showed you how I set it down to like this width and then
Mhm.
close it, but they make you fit a credit card in between the handles, so it's something like this,
Mhm.
which is way harder because it's much wider.
Wait, say that again.
If I set it here, it's much easier because it's closer. The handles are closer together from the
Okay.
start.
Okay.
But
Ah.
when I have to certify, I can't set it that deep. I have to put it credit card in between.
Okay.
So they want a preferred width before you do it.
Right. So they
And
want a so they want the starting position to be a credit card width apart
yes, you should be able to push a credit card through the handles.
before you start squeezing
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Okay.
Which makes it incredibly hard. The higher the level you get, the more it's difficult because it's just and when we were talking earlier about just genetics
Mm-hmm.
in this specific regard,
Mm-hmm.
the genetics play a huge role because so many people do not have hands big enough
Ah.
to pull it off.
Yeah.
And maybe you could say that the company itself is limiting the amount of people that could certify based on that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how it is.
Yeah. What benefit do you get from getting certified? Is it just like a paper saying, confirming the
Yeah, you get a paper and you end up on a list of all the people that have certified along with you. So
Okay.
it's pretty nice. I would say it's definitely more of a personal feat
Yeah.
than it is just like showing off for people.
Well,
But
It's not showing off. It's like you said, it's a personal thing. It's
Right.
your resume, right?
Yeah.
If I say I have one of the world's strongest hands, well, I want to have something to prove that.
exactly.
You know?
You need a certificate or something. Yeah.
Just like anything else, just to make you official. How does grip strength compare, like your grip strength compare to, you always hear, or like I always see people on the internet, on TikTok, like the natural strength guys. Like
Yeah.
one time I've seen this guy out of Russia taking a nail. He put it into a tree stump, and then with his bare hands, he just went, bah, 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 and took the nail all the way in.
Yeah.
Is there guys that,
Serbian people do that too.
do they really?
Yeah, it's like there's some Serbian people that will take a nail and like between their fingers like this,
Uh-huh.
and then they'll do like the thing where they slam it through a table.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he does it. It's not like a Serbian Russian or it's
I mean, it's
people.
not, but like I've seen more people.
You've seen somebody do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's like I've only seen this one guy on the internet, and it's not because he was Russian. He was able to do it.
Well, if he's Russian, it makes it cooler.
Right.
Because they got the bears and they got the
And I think he was actually like shirtless and
Yeah.
in the woods somewhere.
in the snow.
Right. But how does like a natural strength compare to somebody that's actually working on it? I think we touched on that topic a little bit when we first met.
Yeah. For those kind of feats of
Mhm.
strength, I would classify them more along the lines of feat of pain tolerance.
Mm.
Like if most people, when they try, like most people who train,
Mhm.
could do that where they take a nail and they slam it through a piece of wood or something like that or a tree stump.
Mhm.
A lot of guys are scared because they think it's gonna hurt them. You know,
Mhm.
So it's more of a mental thing to really give it all you got. If you hold back on something that you need 100% to do,
Right.
you're not gonna do it.
Right.
And you could say the same thing applies for something like a gripper because, if you try with 100% effort to close something, you're probably gonna get it.
Mhm.
But if you only try, 85%, no.
Yeah. So I guess if you're trained with somebody that's specifically training for the grip strength is always gonna, beat somebody that's just doing work around the farm.
Well, if they have if they have the genetics to do it, yes.
Okay.
If they don't, then probably not.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will always say that training in more ideal conditions is probably better for the
Mhm.
majority of the population. Like, you could say, yeah, you can get a really strong hand just wood chopping. It's like, yeah, but most people don't want to go in the woods and take an axe and start
Right.
chopping trees and stuff. Much easier just to hand them a gripper and tell them, like, just do this like twice a week and you're good. you know,
Right.
And you can keep progressing. So,
Yeah. So how old were you when you first learned about, this competition?
16.
16.
Yeah, I was 16, almost turning 17. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like May of 2019. Yeah.
Were you into any other sports before that?
Yeah, I was playing basketball and stuff like that. Chess, if that's a sport.
Yeah, I mean, mental sport.
Yeah, that's true. But I was never super physical. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
not training that much in the gym or anything. Most of my training was pull-ups and push-ups
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to stay in shape and everything. And I thought that stuff made you way stronger than like lifting weights.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but it's probably better for a majority of young people to do it.
Like higher reps versus higher
No,
weight.
just like pull-ups.
Body
you know.
weight stuff.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's pretty good for the majority of kids.
Why is that?
Cause you're like,
Compared to weightlifting.
yeah, cause you're developing in a way where you're moving your body through space,
Mm-hmm.
and like just being able to do a pull-up is a pretty useful thing.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's a different. It's not like, oh, if you do a lat pull down, it's bad. It's more like just the way you do it, just a little bit differently. It's a little less athletic,
Mm-hmm.
but either or is fine. If
Yeah.
you're really heavy and you can't do a pull up, then yeah, lat
Right.
pull down machine is better. Or those weighted pull up machines that they have with where you can take weights off of your
Yeah.
body weight,
Mm-hmm.
and that stuff's really good.
Yeah, all that stuff is good. But so I saw you post a video today doing pull-ups. Bro, those were some nice looking pull-ups,
Yeah.
man. Because it's not I mean, you're a strong guy, but what's your BMI, if you don't mind sharing?
I don't know, 28 something.
Right, so it's
I'm technically overweight. If you check the BMI
Yeah, that-
calculator, I'm technically overweight.
yeah, I don't like that
So-
thing. Because it makes no sense.
I think fat-free mass index is probably a better way to check.
Right.
It's like there's people that have muscle that puts them in the overweight category, but like they have lower body fat, so
Mhm.
it doesn't really make sense. But you
Yeah.
know,
No, what I was saying is those pull-ups were clean. Your form was perfect. When I do it, it's like my legs are like, let me get up there. Let me get up there.
it's hard because especially when you're coming down, it's when
Mhm.
you're coming down, then you have to go back up. That you have to keep yourself straight. So sometimes when I go back down, I'll rest a little bit
Mhm.
just so that I can stop swaying so much. If
Yeah.
I sway, then I have to go up, and it makes it harder.
Yeah, I can see that. Another thing, like I really like body weight stuff,
Mhm.
push-ups, pull-ups, all that kind of stuff, is it builds up the joint stability, right? Hanging from a pull-up, those muscles, those tendons that keeps your shoulder in place, it's just building up that joint stability versus somebody that just goes to the gym and does like bench press or pull-ups, not pull-ups, shoulder presses and stuff like that, or pull downs. I just feel like it doesn't stabilize the joint as much. It doesn't work on those little muscles
Well,
around the joint.
It's because the movement itself is more stable.
Right.
So like a bench press is way more stable than a pull-up because, a pull-up you're moving through space,
Hmm.
and a bench press the bar is fixed, so there's no like movement. It's not like a dumbbell press where you have to control both arms going
Right.
at the same time, and it's just. But because it's more stable, you could say that it might be better to get stronger because you have more. You can put more weight on the bar,
Hmm.
and therefore you can overload more.
Yeah.
It's all
I just think
preference.
it's very important. Even like guys that just go lift weights to get big.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell my friends that I used to work out with at the gym, I'm like, dude, like you gotta do some shoulder internal, external
Yes.
strengthening to build up that stability. Because
Yeah.
rotator cuffs rotator cuff tears are nothing to play around with. Those things hurt. I haven't had one, but I'm a PT, physical therapist assistant, and I did that for 6 years, so I saw a lot of it. And I was just like, man, I don't ever want to tear a rotator cuff.
And I think it's pretty common in people that do really heavy bench press or something. They might tear. I had a friend that tore his rotator and his pec doing the
Right.
bench press. So it's like Yikes.
That's tough because it's a shoulder, man. It's tough with like the shoulder joint. There isn't really. It's all it is holding your humerus is just tendons and muscles. It's just hanging there.
Yeah, it's really vulnerable.
Very, very.
So it's easy to injure it. I definitely do like external rotation
Mhm.
exercises. I usually do them at the end of shoulder or chest day
Mm.
because it just feels so much nicer. Because like all this internal rotation from a bench press and shoulder pressing and all this stuff,
Mm.
even for something like arm wrestling, you have to have so much internal rotation, bringing
Yeah.
your elbow inside and everything. It just feels so nice on your shoulder when you're doing external rotation.
Yeah. Stretching it out. I love stretching too, bro. Like,
Yeah.
well, now I just do Muay Thai, but when I was lifting weights, I would 15, 20 minutes stretching no matter what. I love it. But we got off topic a little bit. It's all good. It's all good. I was gonna ask. So you were 16 when you got introduced to this sport. What made you fall in love with it?
I was good at it.
You were good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say like I grew up playing soccer, basketball, so I fell in love with those sports. But well, I guess I picked up golf late, and I
Mhm.
fell in love with golf or Muay Thai. But what about it? You were good at it, and that was enough.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay at basketball, but
Mhm.
like, I wasn't the most skilled,
Right.
you know. So like, if I were doing, if I was shooting around, I couldn't shoot that well. But I
Mhm.
could do a layup,
Sure.
and I could go and like just slide right through four guys and get to the basket, but I can't
Mhm.
shoot to save my life.
Right. So yeah, I mean, everybody has something they're good at,
Yeah.
and then going back to genetics, it's like even me with basketball, I was like, in high school and middle school, I was playing center. It's like I knew like I'm not gonna grow 6 to 6, 8, 7 feet.
Right.
It's like I was kind of awakened pretty early that there was not gonna be anything with basketball. So you just kind of saw an opportunity, and it's actually kind of cool thing. It's like a superhuman thing to have,
Feels like it.
right? All right. So you got introduced to it at 16, and then how long did it take for you to get to the spot you're at now? Well, obviously, what, 5 years? How old are you? 21?
Hmm.
So 5 years, but consistent training.
Yeah. So in the beginning, I wasn't consistently training it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started, this was the first gripper that I ever bought.
That's
So-
why I can close it. It's worn out. Well, I can't close it, but almost.
I mean, they don't even get that much. They don't even get that much easier over time.
Yeah.
Actually, with all this rust and everything, it's probably a little harder. But no, I mean that was the first one that I got, and
Mhm.
then I don't know what made me think that I needed to do 7-8 reps with it before buying a new one.
Mm.
I wasn't even on a budget or anything. I just didn't want to spend money on grippers because I was kind of buying them without my parents' consent or whatever. I was like, yeah, can I just buy a gripper? And they're like, no. I'm like,
Right.
I want to buy a gripper.
Well, did you explain to them why you want to buy
I mean,
it?
I did, but like, I don't know.
It
They
was
probably
like,
thought it was a waste of time or something.
so just to pause you real quick. I got a
Yeah.
funny story.
Looks like something else paused you.
Where's that? What was I saying?
Well, you said you had a really funny story.
Oh, perfect. Well, I don't know if it's funny anymore, but it got cut off. No, I was gonna say when you were talking about like you being not scared, but like asking your parents to buy a gripper. When I used to skateboard, and those things are not cheap. I mean, how much is a gripper?
Well, this thing is like $25.
$25. So skateboards, I don't know, $100, right? They bought me like a cheaper one, and I ended up trying to do like a nollie or do like a 50-50 board slide.
Uh-huh.
And when I tried to like, after a while, hopping on it too many times, it just broke. But I was like, dude, how do I like get the courage to go ask my parents for another? They're gonna be like, what'd you do with this one? I was jumping on it. Why were you jumping on it? Because that's what skateboarders do. They wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So that after I broke that board, I was like, there goes my skateboarding career. I ended up not buying one ever since. But so, what did that training look like at first? You said you were trying to do 7 reps,
I was trying to work up to it.
work
Yeah.
up to it.
Because initially I thought, because I've seen a bunch of videos from people, like on YouTube and everything,
Mhm.
and they showed videos on how to close these things and everything. And I was always thinking, I was like, man, like, you know how I just showed you to set it deeper so that you have more coverage and everything? I was like,
Mhm.
it's cheating.
Right.
You know? I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to close it in a man's way,
Right.
you know? And, you know, it obviously worked out that way, but for some reason, I just thought like 7, 8 reps with the 1.5 should get me to a number 2.
Mhm.
And that is about, it's pretty accurate, yeah.
Right. Once you can do 7 reps,
Yeah,
then you can
and at
probably
the
get.
start, like once I got this thing, I went on
Mhm.
a 2 week run where every single day for morning and after school and then right before I went to bed,
Mhm.
I would try to close it at least once, you know? And this is actually a pretty, I wasn't aware of this, but this is actually a pretty good tactic. It's called greasing the groove. And they
Mhm.
have people with that they can only do like 1, 2, 3 pull-ups, and they have them go like, okay, every day you jump up to a bar and you do 1 pull-up, 2 pull-ups, 3 pull-ups, and you just keep doing that every single day, and
Mhm.
then eventually you get to a point where you can do like 9, 10,
Mhm.
you know, because you're getting so much work in by doing it, but because you're more of a beginner level, you're not fatiguing yourself as much, so you can
Mhm.
just go, you know, you can just go as much as you can, and then you start progressing that way.
Right. Yeah, it's repetitions.
Yeah.
Right. Um, Building up the muscles to do it. So, 16, started doing it. When did you become very serious about achieving your goals?
2021 January.
So
So
just recently?
yes, so but I was 18, and I had a friend from Bielina,
Uh-huh.
and we talked online and everything. Zoran, he's called, and in November of 2020, uh, I had shown him a video of me closing a number 3
Mm-hmm.
that I was like, it was like unlisted. I think I had one that was public and one that was unlisted because I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't upload it. But that one I showed to him, and he was like, whoa. And then he started getting into grippers.
Mm.
And then he showed me on Instagram that Iron Mind, the company that sells these grippers,
Mm.
is doing a certification online because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like,
Mm.
"Oh, you gotta certify now because you can close at 3. You gotta certify." And I was like, I don't know. I haven't done it since what, April of 2020. So it's been like, you know, 7, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, nah, you gotta do it. And I started, you know, December or something like that. I picked up a 2.5, and I was like, okay, I can close it once. It feels hard because it's just coming back. It feels so rusty and everything.
Uh-huh.
And then 2 weeks after that, I closed at 3, and I was like, okay, that pretty, felt pretty easy, easier
Mm.
than last time. And you know, then in January, I uh, went on the email, and I emailed them. I was like, can I certify on the number 3? And then they sent me. At the time, I didn't know that you needed a credit card. I thought it was like optional or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent them just a video of me closing it normally,
Uh-huh.
and they go, "You need to show a credit card." And I was like, "Okay." So I just take out my ID or something,
Mhm.
and I just put it in, and I close it. And it didn't feel that much different to me because at the time, the way I was setting it was just as wide as a credit card, anyways.
Right.
So it didn't take much time to adjust to it, and if anything, it was a little easier.
Mm.
But yeah, that's when I started taking it seriously. When he told me that there was a certification process online,
Mm.
because I remember, I think I wanted to do an in-judge certification after I did close at 3 in March 2020, April 2020. So I was like, I emailed them, I think, and I never got anything back.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think that's because when COVID hit or something like that, they kind of shut down and stuff. But, you know, ever since in January, I was like, I'm going for it. And then when I got the 3,
Mm-hmm.
which took a couple tries because they were pretty stringent on my, videos and everything. They were like, yeah, it went out of frame, one frame. And then I was like, ah, shoot.
Yeah.
So once I got that, and I was gunning for the 3.5, and it took me 2 months to get from those two.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I was just like, that's it. I gotta do it. I gotta do it now, forever.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, it gave you like, now you have a certification.
Yeah.
You know, now you can, gives you like a something to reach for. You know. So, how did training differ when you got serious about trying to get certified versus when you were just doing it 16, 17 years old?
Well,
Do you
when
get more like specific on your hand and on
I
your
was
wrist?
going way heavier,
Okay.
way heavier, like 1 rep max
Ah.
every week. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just
Okay.
like, I'm gonna try to close this thing. If I can't do it, I'm gonna do it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're 17, 18, 19, you're growing
Mm-hmm.
and your muscles are growing. So like, doing anything works because any stimulus you provide, you're gonna adapt to because you're just growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happened to me. So I was 18 and I was like, I'm just going to close it as much as I can. And then I didn't really do much reps,
Mm-hmm.
but I was still growing from it just because I was getting older.
Mm.
But that kind of hit like a tipping point where it didn't work out that much after. So I exploded in strength doing it,
Mm-hmm.
but how much of that was really a strength gain due to muscle growth, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not even half.
So you just got a little more focused on more reps, more focus on the actual strength of your hand.
Yeah, because like if you can do like 7-8 reps with the 1.5 and do a 2, because
Right.
the difference between them is only like 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference in intensity is not high enough where you need to train specifically to close a number 2. You
Yeah.
can just do it off of training reps. Once you get to a 3, you kind of need to start. Once you have the necessary reps to do a number 3, like predicting your 1 rep max kind of thing, then you need to specialize more and go like 3 reps,
Mm.
2 reps, 1 rep,
Yeah, a little more fine tuned, a little more
Yes,
detailed to get to
you
that.
could just view it as like sharpening the tip of your spear.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that makes sense. How did you learn about the competitions? Or actually, I'm sorry. Before we get into that, I forgot this question. I was gonna ask you, when you're doing the training, obviously you're doing the grip strength, but do you have to focus on your forearm muscles
yes.
all the way up to your shoulder as well?
Not for grip, just mainly the forearm. So I'll be
Mhm.
like wrist curls, wrist extension, or radial deviation, ulnar deviation, pronation, supination.
Mhm.
Those are so many of the movements your forearm does.
Right.
But I try to split it up because if I do everything at once, it almost feels like it's too much, and then it's hard to recover from, and something hurts and aches and everything. I try to split it up like 2 times a week. I'm training my forearm specifically, and I'm not doing it only in the workout. So I'll be doing like yesterday was a gripper workout, but then after that I did the Saxon bar with like lifting the rectangular bar, and I did that. Went up to 220 pounds, and then I dropped down and did a few wrist curls with it, like 4 sets. And then I did pull-ups,
Mm-hmm.
and then I did, wrist extensions, and then I did some dynamic pinching work because it's static, but it doesn't build the muscle as much.
Mhm.
So, I'm working everything as well, but it's hard. Like, if you want to really progress on this, it's almost better to leave it as your first exercise of the day where you're the most fresh.
Yeah.
If I was trying to build up my chest, I wouldn't do grippers first,
Right.
at a high intensity, because that's going to fatigue me and I can't put out everything I can on a
Right.
bench press or something.
Mm-hmm. Now, during your training, have you had any injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind?
Minor ones. Like, like a little bit of tendinopathy or some joint pain or some
Uh-huh.
muscle pull or something like that. It's a necessary
Mm.
thing. You're always gonna get little tweaks and stuff,
Right.
but I didn't get anything
Nothing
serious. Yeah,
serious.
knock on wood.
Yeah,
I
knock
hope
on.
this is wood.
Yeah, it is wood.
Okay.
It is. So we're good.
Yeah.
Now, but I would assume that, doing a lot of gripping, it would put a lot of, and we talked about this, put a lot of stress on your tendons.
Hmm.
Like, what is it called? Oh my God. When it goes numb in your hands.
Oh, the nerves.
Yeah, what is it called when it gets compressed?
Yeah, I mean, you have an ulnar nerve, um, cubital tunnel syndrome or something like
Yeah.
that. Entrapment, I think.
Yeah, there's a specific term.
Impingement.
No, it's like it's an actual name for like a lot of people that do a lot of typing and that hold their
Oh, carpal tunnel.
carpal
Okay,
tunnel.
okay. Yeah,
It couldn't come to me.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, training grip is probably gonna make a lot of those things go away.
Hmm.
Obviously, I'm on the extreme end, so like I'm trying to do it to be the best in the world at it.
Right.
Most people don't need to be bothering themselves. But if somebody's training with grippers, like
Uh-huh.
a 1.5 and they're closing it, it's not gonna hurt their joints that much. It's not that much.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, some might find it therapeutic because some people type all day and they don't use their hands enough, and then if they get it stronger, they probably feel a little better.
Yeah. Well, any kind of exercise is
Yes.
probably therapeutic. Have you heard anything about? I mentioned to my sister that you were coming on, and what the topic was, and she asked me to kind of just bring up to you or ask you about grip strength directly related to longevity, like overall health. Do you know anything about that? She said there was like something that came out recently that connects grip strength directly to longevity.
Yes, there is a study that has been done, and they found that people who are older that retain their grip strength live longer.
So as you get older, if you retain the grip strength.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that if you have the strongest hand in the world that you can live the longest.
Right.
Because it's like if you maintain, like you can have the strongest hand in the world, but then
Mhm.
if you get sick, you can't close. Like if I got sick right now, I probably couldn't close like a chew without trying.
Yeah.
Because my nervous system is all messed up, and I just can't produce any force. But if that happens, I'm sick.
Mm.
There's no more grip.
Right.
But if I maintain that as much as I can, then yes, it's gonna help.
Right.
Yeah.
Um. So I gotta look into that article though, just to see like what she was talking about. But it sounds like sounds any kind of working out, any kind of
Oh yeah. I mean, there's people that don't even move. There's some
to
people that just sit on a couch
play video
whole
games.
day. Well, I mean, playing video games, watching TV, eating stuff.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not that they don't uh, have any benefit to doing that. Like, we can all enjoy time alone on the couch or something like that,
Mhm.
relaxing a little bit. But if you do that all the time and you're never training,
Right.
it's really bad.
Right.
So.
And it's directly connected to your self-esteem and
Mm-hmm.
overall health. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been plenty of times where I did not want to go to the gym. It's like, oh, I don't want to go today. I'm tired.
Me too, man. Me too.
But have you ever had a time where during those times that you didn't want to go, you went? Have you ever regretted going?
No.
Exactly. So it's like
I always feel better after.
always feel
Yeah.
better, no matter how shitty we feel before we go, or no matter how bad we don't want to go.
Yeah.
Once you get done, you're gonna be super glad with it
Yeah.
that you went.
Endorphins.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And you also said you did arm wrestling a little bit too.
Yeah,
Alright.
I tried it. I can't do grip and arm wrestling at the same level I want to.
Right.
So right now, any arm wrestling training has taken a back seat,
Uh huh.
and I made grip just like a full priority. you know.
Right.
In the past year, I've kind of tried to do both, and I realized like I can't. Majority of people probably could because they're not going to be like world class at one and trying to
Mhm.
get world class at another. You can't do that. But if you're, you know, getting stronger at this and you're using this to develop it, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fine. Yeah.
So no arm wrestling yet. All right. Or you did it, but you don't want to do it at the same time.
Right. I want
mean-
to certify the number 4
Yeah.
before I decide to jump in arm wrestling. And even then, I don't know if I will jump into it
Mhm.
because I might try to do more stuff in grip. But definitely, I'm going to wait till I certify number 4.
Yeah.
Which,
Is this sport getting more of an exposure now? Like, do you feel like with social media around the
Yes.
last 15,
Yes,
20
yes.
years?
I mean, I'm a product of that.
Right.
You know, like just a video that some guys released on grip strength got me into it, and now I'm one of the strongest grips in the world. So it's like there's definitely exposure happening, and it's happened, you know, since 2018 when these specific guys just started, you know, putting these videos out there. Like Juji Mufu is one YouTube channel,
Mhm.
Larry Wheels, you know, Brian Shaw,
Mm-hmm.
Jed Johnson. These guys have kind of put more people. They put awareness of grip. You know, they put it on the map.
Right.
So people who watch that definitely seem interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
They might buy a gripper. They might not buy a gripper. They might
Mhm.
buy something else. But as long as they're training it, it's better because now you have exposure.
Right.
And if that person seems to be good at it and
Mhm.
then now has an interest in, you know, pursuing it, then you got another athlete in your sport.
Right.
It's always a good thing.
Do you think it's one of those things that will carry over down for you down the years, like into your 30s, 40s, 50s?
Oh, even past that.
Really, the grip strength?
Yeah, there's a
It doesn't go
guy-
away. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a guy, Ode Haugen. Absolute freak.
Mm-hmm.
He's, I think he's 73 right now, and he has one of the strongest grips in the world. Still,
Wow.
at the age of 73. You
Wow.
know? So it's definitely something you can keep for a long, long time, especially because it's our hand. You know, like I don't know how true this is, but I would assume that, you know, evolutionary speaking in that term,
Mm-hmm.
most likely we are supposed to keep our hand strength relatively the same as we age
Mm-hmm.
because it's something we need to survive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't really need to squat 800 pounds.
Right.
If you can't grab, you know, like a tree vine, or you can't pick something off the ground or something, like, forget about it.
Right.
You can't live.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something, it seems that it has to be more long lasting.
Right. And maybe it's not as vulnerable to injuries and like injuries over time, right? Wear and tear over time compared to like, I don't know, your spine, lower back, knees.
Probably.
I don't know, maybe. But now, you know, since you're doing this, are you pretty familiar with like the anatomy of the hand?
Yeah, I mean, especially recently I've been getting more into that because sometimes you want to target a specific muscle and you
Mhm.
just like, it helps to know where that is, you know? Like there's a muscle in below a lot of these muscles here. It's
Mhm.
called the pronator quadratus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a little sheet of muscle that runs along here, but it's one of the first layers,
Mm-hmm.
so you can't even see it. You know, so it's like I didn't even know I had this. I have to train it.
Is there a specific way to get that muscle stronger?
Yeah, it's pronation like this,
Mm.
and that also works your pronator teres.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, there's tons of muscles. Like you have your flexor carpi ulnaris, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus. You got your two flexor muscles, flexor digitorum superficialis and profundus. Those flex your fingers. Those two are your finger flexors that you work out a lot when you're training grip.
Mm-hmm.
And for grippers specifically, you don't train your wrist flexors as much. So sometimes people do really well as grippers, and they try to pick something up, and their wrist gives out, so their fingers are not in a position to hold it. Because like if your fingers are always underneath something, like a bar,
Mm-hmm.
and your fingers are strong, it's not gonna go through your fingers.
Mm.
But if your wrist is not strong enough to keep it from opening completely up, then it's going to start rolling out.
Mm.
And you see that a lot with people in the events when they pick up like a heavy thick bar implement or like a giant soda can dumbbell that they call the inch dumbbell,
Mm-hmm.
where it just rolls out because it's fixed. It's like two globes and a handle, but it's all in one. So like as soon as you start lifting it, the entire 172-pound dumbbell is rolling out of your hand. So you got to stop it. And part of that is your wrist having to maintain, like, not cupped in like this, but just to resist the urge of it opening up so you can keep your fingers underneath it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with this being something that you can do down the line, do you ever see yourself kind of like dropping it, or do you see a future in this?
No. I would say that forever, as much as, as long as I can do it,
Right.
I will always try to train grip.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not competitive in it anymore or something like that, I
Mhm.
will always train it because it's just a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's better than not doing it. So
Right. And especially if you enjoy it, like you said, you can do it anywhere. You can do it in the car, right? On a stoplight, you can just practice it a little bit.
yeah, I mean, there's like that's a thing, right? So most people they get a gripper and they think like I'm just gonna do 200 reps with it every day. Like
Mhm.
I'm in the car, I got it in the glove compartment.
Right.
I'm gonna take it out and do a bunch of reps while till the light turns green. But in reality, you would not do that for any other muscle group.
Yeah.
So you're better off doing like 10 to 12 reps. 6 to 12. Yeah, 6 to 12 reps with such a gripper that you can close for a maximum of that,
Uh-huh.
so that you really build up the strength in your fingers. And if you don't do that and you constantly do like the reps and everything, you're not really training your fast twitch fibers, which are the ones producing the force in the first place.
Mm.
So your fingers might not actually get that much stronger.
Right. I mean, I know you already kind of talked about this, but so versus doing it in the car and then focusing on it at the gym or at home where you have what's like the proper way of doing it? How many times a week do you train on your grip strength?
I do it twice, but I don't do grippers twice. I do grippers once, and then I do another day of the week. I'll do like axle bar
Okay.
or just something that trains my wrist a little more
Right.
along with the fingers. So I'm not doing this twice a week, but I'm still training the muscles,
Mm-hmm.
the same muscles, twice a week. Yeah,
Okay.
I would say for any muscle, you want to train it 2 or 3 times a week for, good hypertrophy result.
Right, because you don't want to overdo it either.
Yeah, there's some people that are like, I'm gonna do it 5 times a week, and it's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
how does that work out for you?
Right.
For some people, it does. For some people, they're just genetically blessed where they can, like, handle that much volume
Mm-hmm.
in a week. Typically, I would say those people are probably more like marathoners, maybe more slow twitch
Mhm.
dominant people. So I don't know. Maybe they have less lactic acid
Yeah.
build up in their muscles, so they can do more reps and stuff. But
So you said you were able to close that number 4, which is 350 pounds?
65, yeah.
365 pounds. You were able to close that. What is, like, give us a comparison. What would 365 pounds, what can I crush in my hand?
A potato,
A potato?
yeah, a raw potato.
And that would like 365 pounds of
I mean-
force to crush it?
Probably without digging your fingers in, yeah.
Uh-huh.
But if you could dig your fingers in, then probably only a 3 is needed for that.
Yeah.
It's much easier.
So did you try doing that?
Yeah, I'd done it because the Iron Mind, the website that sells this, they, I remember when they were saying like, if you can close a number 3 gripper, then you could potentially crush a raw potato in your bare hands. And I was like, that's really cool. And when I close a 3, I'm gonna try that exact thing to see if it's true. And it was true because I crushed 2 potatoes,
Uh-huh.
like digging the fingers in and everything. Once I closed a number 3, and I was like, yes.
That's crazy because, I mean, holding an apple, or what's harder, potato or an apple?
Potato,
Potato.
yeah.
There's no way I would be able to do it. So people at home, just to kind of get an idea of Ivan's strength grab a potato and try to squeeze it. See if you can crush it. And if you can't, that will just kind of help you realize what kind of strength this man has.
Some people have referred to a number 4 as a brick.
Is a brick?
Yeah, some people say if you want to test the difficulty of a number 4 gripper, you should go to a Home Depot, get a brick, and try to close. Just try to crush a brick in your hand. That's how it
pretty
feels.
much, right? For
And
an average person,
it really does feel like that for most people.
Yeah.
You know,
like if I tried it, I wouldn't be able to
it
move
felt
it.
like that for me in the beginning. When the first time I tried it was when I could close a 3 for reps, and it just felt unmovable. Like I could move it to like maybe like here, and then I could not go past it. It's actually a very unique feeling when you're closing your hand, but then something just stops you. It's like a wall that you hit in the middle of your hand, and you cannot get past. No matter how hard you squeeze through that, you cannot go past it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, I think that's something that maybe gravitates with people because they probably think like, oh man, like I can't close. I want to close this now. Maybe it just motivates them to keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, just like anything else, once you hit that wall, it's like, what do I got to do to get past that wall?
Yes.
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 And especially if you have a passion for it, then you're going to continue working towards that. So dude, I really thank you again for coming on. I enjoyed this conversation. I hope you continue working on this because why not, right? You're already there. You're already at top of the food chain when it comes to hand strength. So it would be nice to see you continue doing this because obviously the sport is growing and it's going to continue to grow. So why not be there from the start, right? Not from the start, but
yeah, I know what you mean.
from the time that it actually
and
picks up.
part of that does resonate with me because I'm thinking, you know, if I can try to be of motivation for future, you know, athletes that come in, so be it.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely. And it's a cool thing, right? It's like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like superhuman. It's crushing a potato, right?
Yeah, especially because, like, I'm big compared to an average person, but I'm not really like. If you were to see me stand next to these guys at the competitions and stuff, or even like World's Strongest Man guys, they just completely dwarf me. You know, they're just huge behemoths, and you know, it's a really cool feeling to know that you have a stronger hand than them, because it's like, look at how, you know, this mountain of a man is trying to close this thing and he can't do it, and then you got like a kid in there who's like half his size just repping it, you know.
Yeah.
Like part of why I got into it was actually that kind of motivated me, because I was thinking, this is cool. I may never be able to deadlift, you know, 1,000 pounds. I can close this.
Right.
He can't. So.
That's true. So I'm looking forward to seeing you continue pursuing these goals and competitions. And you said your next competition is in March 2024.
Yeah.
So about 4 months away, give or take.
Yeah, I'm gonna start prepping around January.
Where's that gonna be at?
Columbus. Every year it's in Columbus.
Okay,
Ohio,
same
yeah.
place. Do they? Is there gonna be is there a streaming? Are people gonna be able to watch it if they're interested? To support you?
I think so.
Okay.
If they pay for it.
Okay.
Not advertising, but
No, you're good. Even if you are, who cares? But all right, cool. Well, I mean, hopefully we can do another podcast sometime soon.
yeah,
Maybe
for sure.
sometime after you get that first place.
Mm-hmm.
So how can people follow your journey, right? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I got an Instagram. I got a YouTube. My YouTube, pretty easy to find. Just search up Ivan Chuk. Instagram is IvanChuk19. And I post most of my stuff on there. I don't really have anything else that I upload at.
Yeah.
Just YouTube and Instagram is about it. Yeah, no Facebook or stuff.
Yeah, Facebook is kind of
outdated.
Yeah, I have it for the podcast, but it's kind of hard to keep up with everything. But yeah, man. So thanks for coming on, bro. I follow you obviously, but we're gonna talk. Maybe we can figure something out where I come out to the competition just to check it out. Why not? It seems like it's
If
fun.
you want, you can always like come to a gym or something like that when I'm doing grippers, and I can just show you.
Yeah.
Cause like this is a 1.5. I mean, I would have brought something heavier,
Mhm.
but then I need chalk, and like I
Yeah.
did grippers yesterday. My hands are already retired. Like this just felt hard enough for me. I'm leaving that alone. So
All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, it would be cool to check out you in action, but also like all the other competitions
Mhm.
that they have.
oh yeah, I mean Arnold Classic. You got so many stuff like, and some of this stuff is even a little bit weird and obscene. Like they got like medieval night fighting.
Really?
Yeah, they have like an arena
Uh
where
huh.
you have people that are dressed up as knights, and they have like spears and swords, and they're
Uh-huh.
on horses or stuff. And I'm like, what is going on
That's
here?
it. See, I had no idea they had that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so funny.
So it would be kind of cool to check that out.
Yeah.
We'll stay in touch.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out. But again, thanks for coming on, people, friends. Give this man a follow. Let's support him. Let's follow his journey, and let's bring awareness to his
Absolutely.
journey.
Yeah.
So, Ivana, thanks for coming on once
All right.
again.
Thanks.
All right, man. Peace out, everybody. We'll just end it with that.